But it's really, I love very much.
Thank you.
Let's go. We
Yeah.
can taste it.
So here, I made 3 because I knew you guys are coming.
Let's go.
This is just 1 bite.
Hello to everyone. We are here with Edan Leshnick. We are in That's Bakery. And I'm so happy to be here, Edan, because since long time we met through the Concept Online Extended course. It's a huge opportunity for me to meet people like you that are in all over the world, that you are doing crazy and amazing things. Everything that you show me is impressive, and I'm so happy here. I'm so happy to be here in New York to do our first Meet the Chef that will be in English, because in the past we did all of them in Spanish, and this will be the first one that is going to be in English. That means that will be also a challenge for me. Okay.
Pero hablamos español.
We can
Well,
talk in English a bit,
yeah, we'll do.
Spanish a little bit. Okay, perfect. Let's go to start. I would like you to introduce yourself and explain a little bit to what you've been doing in your life.
Yeah,
No,
so
you
um,
arrived here.
again, my name is Edan, and I've been here at Brett's Bakery for a while, for almost 11 years. Before that, I was doing pastry at different places around the world. But since I moved to New York, this was the place that I started working at. And I have to say that my career over the last 11 years changed so much. And I think especially from the big concept yet. And I don't want to look like I'm promoting too much, but I think that for me, it's the opportunity that completely freed my mind. Like it changed the way I approach things. So I can maybe kind of like decide, like, it was me before big concept and me after big concept, and that's kind of like the way I see the approach also in the creativity level that went from zero to a lot more, because I suddenly had the tools to do things, and before that I didn't understand why I'm doing things, and I just so everything that we see here right now is basically formulated using the big concept method, and inspired by the big concept method. So by your methods.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And no, thank you. And what is your background? Because always when I ask to the people, I meet the people like you in the courses that we go in our school, I love to know your background. When you started in bakery and pastry industry, when was this? How old were you?
I was 21 when I started.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where are you? Where are you born?
Originally in Israel, from Israel.
Israel. Okay.
And I grew up there, and honestly, I always ate very good food. It's Mediterranean, so it's a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit. We never grew up eating, everything was fresh. But I was never, drawn to bakery. Like, it was never something that I thought about as pastry, a bakery, kitchen. I wasn't even interested. I love to eat, and for me also as a kid, I love to, like, hide behind my mom and steal food and stuff like that. But it was never like something that I said to myself, like, oh, this is what I want to do at a young age. But only at the age around 2021, I was in a point in my life where I had no idea what I want to do, and I think that I was always very I like systems, and I like numbers, and I like to dive into something very, very meticulously. So, like, I love to know why always, and I always asked why. I was the annoying kid that always asked why. Um, so I think that I found a recipe on some magazine or some bread recipe or anything, and I made it once, and it was probably the worst thing I ever made in my life. But for me, it like opened something that I didn't know existed. And since then, as soon as I made that, I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna be a pastry chef. That's it, a baker. Like, this is what I want to do.
Oh, like that. Hey,
It was no yes.
oh yeah, that was.
For me, when everything that I do is like everything or nothing. So when I said to myself I want to be a baker, I didn't even tell my parents, because I knew they would like say, like, oh, no, no, no. There's no money, there's no.
No.
But for me, as soon as I said that, I was just like, this is what I want to do, and I never looked back really, and that was the last time that I ever asked myself, what do I want to do? Like, I know exactly what I want to do. It's this. Yeah. So that's how it started, and then I think that after that, once I started working here, at Breads, it was very, I started from the bottom, just a pastry cook, and I worked overnight, and I had no sleep, and but this is what I wanted to do, and slowly I started to learn why, and especially so after I did the B concept method, that changed my approach towards food completely.
And when you arrived to New York to join the Pets Bakery project, what was the most challenging thing? No, how long was this?
Um,
Ago.
but this was 11 years ago.
Okay,
Yeah, so when I started, this place was only one location.
one location.
One, just this place. I mean, it's big, yeah, it's
Yeah.
still big, but
Totally big.
yeah, but it was still growing, and to some degree, for me, what was interesting is that I was like a sponge. I just wanted to learn. For me, I didn't care. Like, you want to put me on the night shift or the day shift or work 24 hours, it doesn't matter. I'll be here anytime, So I think that's how it started, really, and that's what interested me, is that this place gave me almost like freedom to just to make mistakes, to create, and I think that nowadays not a lot of places have the luxury of allowing a pastry chef to make mistakes,
Yes.
and especially in the beginning when you have such low confidence, if you make a mistake. I remember I worked at another place before, and they were very, very tough on it. And I said to myself, like, this is not my life. I can't do this. I'm no good at this. And only at this place, I remember I burnt like maybe 8 trays of croissants, and then they said to me, like, it's okay. We learn, and that's how it started. And something in my head was like, okay, so now I'm actually learning. I'm not afraid of making a mistake. I want to learn how to do this better. And I think that's what this place gave me, is the freedom to make mistakes.
Yes, pastry at the end is known for learn. We have to live like with a lot of mistakes in order to understand everything that we are doing. No, if we explain about formulation side, if they say no, when you are formulating, you are not going to do exactly the perfect texture at the beginning.
Yeah.
No? You need just to make mistakes in order to understand everything that we are doing. And then when you have mistakes, you have experience in order to, for the next oncoming experience, go faster to the point that you want to,
Yeah.
to have. No, but I totally agree that in pastry we need to have mistakes and learn. It's how we learn, no? If everything is working perfect and amazing from the beginning, it's
Then we don't
not.
learn.
No.
I think also what I wanted to say for this is the B concept method actually taught me that these mistakes are opportunities, because
That-
okay, so let's say we made some sort of emulsion and it didn't work, and then the idea is why it didn't work. And up until then, I was just focused on, like, it didn't work and that's it, period, and then we move on to something else. But now it was okay, maybe I can substitute and I can make changes in the ingredients that understanding the molecular structure and how they're interacting suddenly changed everything. It's you're making a gel texture, and suddenly it's not gelling. You understand suddenly why, and then that sometimes gives you ideas for the next thing. And you start off with an idea and you end up with something completely different, but it's still good.
Yes.
So that's what I
Yeah.
found also, is this place actually allowed me to do that too. So
Totally agree. I wanted to ask a little bit about your inspiration, where it comes from, no? Because I see all the product that you have in the shop, and it's unbelievable. No, the different kinds of flavors, textures, no kind size of product that you have. Where comes from your inspiration when you want to create a new product, or everything that we can see here?
Yeah.
It's such amazing.
I think it's there's the Bread's bakery side, that for us, we have to cater for a lot of people, and we have a lot of foot traffic, and our customers have a certain demand for quality and consistency.
Mhm.
And then there's this, and this is something that for me is this is the closest to my heart, because I always felt as a child, as an adult, like I was always a little bit different when it comes to flavor pairings, and my choices as to what I like to eat. For me, I always like natural things. I didn't realize before, for example, before the big concept, that I could do that. But after, it started to give me an idea of like, from the experience that I want for someone when he eats my food is to feel like they're walking out in nature and picking something and being able to eat it. Of course, there's pairings that, Mirabelle plum and za'atar, it's the spices that necessarily they don't grow together, but I think that's our job as pastry chef also, is to give our personal experience. Like, I grew up with za'atar. That's a spice and an herb that's very, very strong in my culture. And I remember walking and smelling this, and I still remember the smell is in my head. Um, and also texture. Texture like was so important to me. So you're right, like about the textures that we have, but these specifically, I want raw, crunchy, in your face things that are very, very gentle at the same time. So it's almost like your mind becomes like, whoa, okay, so it's crunchy, but it's also very, very light. And I think that the only reason I could do that is from the big concept is something, I can make something with less sugar, with less sweetness, lighter in texture, and different techniques and different textures that I couldn't achieve before that. And suddenly with the flavors that are very bold, to create something that's very light, to me was the ultimate composition. And my main passion is viennoiserie, and I grew up with, or at least my training was croissants and lamination and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, like, it could be very interesting to combine viennoiserie with the big concept method in a way. And okay, I know I have butter and lamination, but we're using a very high quality. It's also very important.
No, it's
that
about
it's a resort.
that.
But I think that when you're pairing it with something super light, it's almost like when a customer eats that, they don't know, their mind becomes something, like, where's this coming from? Is this because people here are used to croissant very heavy with fillings, with a lot of sugar and stuff like that. And for us, we like to, even in the motion and in the movements, has to be lighter. So that's also very, very important to me. And I think that's where the inspiration comes from. Is always being able to play with the richness and the lightness of textures and of flavors.
Mhm. If we ask a little bit about your philosophy here in Place Bakery, what is the philosophy of the business?
Yeah.
A little bit, what you
Yeah.
please
So
explain.
so Bread's Bakery in general, when it was created, the whole approach was to have a kind of like almost like a market kind of feeling, where you are always getting very fresh, in the market. You always get very fresh vegetables and fruit, but here you get very fresh croissants, viennoiserie, cakes. And because of our volume, it's almost like it's a blessing and a curse, because we have to make so much, but at the same time, we bake very small batches throughout the day. So, you have croissants that are out of the oven in no more than 2-3 hours. That's it. And then we bake the next batch. So as opposed to other bakeries that, do a very large batch in the morning and that's it. For us, the approach was small batch, small batch, small batch. So that you're always getting a fresh product. So no matter what time you come in, even in New York, even at 4 or 5 p.m., people here expect fresh croissants,
Mamma mia.
And in Europe, it's not very common.
No, no, come on.
And people understand that, like, croissant is not a 5
Yes.
p.m. thing, but
Yes.
here people are a little strange. In New York, they like their croissants at 5
A
p.m.
different market.
Yes.
I had this morning. I went to Starbucks just
Oh, yeah.
to order a matcha latte, and I was very impressive because I arrived. I was like with 3 people in the shop,
Yeah.
and I ordered the matcha latte, and they started arrive people because I think that was the rush hour, and
Okay.
they started to arrive people just ordering or taking the beverage, taking the beverage, but I was like 15 minutes waiting for the for the matcha latte, and there was like 100 people that just came to take the beverage.
Yeah.
That means that this market, we are not used to see this all over the world. No, in Europe it's completely different market.
Yeah.
In Asia we can see that can be something similar, but it's not the same like you have here. Here it's very impressive, the people that you have now in your shop or that you can see in other business.
Yeah. And this is crazy. Like, right now, this is very slow. I mean, I wish we could show just the customers right now, but in the busy times,
Yeah.
we empty all the tables, all the chairs, and there's just a line like this, a line in the store and then out the door,
Okay.
around the block, for the holidays. So, people in New York, first of all, they like to stand in line, which is no good. But yes, it gets from 0 to 100 very fast here. So the peaks are like this all the time,
Wow.
and the same for the holidays for us. Like we have to, everything here that we make is by hand. There's no machines. There's none of that. So I have to have enough people to always be able to do this. And at any moment, bring out more products. So our ovens are always on, really, and we have people here working all night and all day, almost every single day of the week.
Now you have 3 shops, no, in India?
Five.
Five
Five,
shops
yeah.
already.
Yeah,
Wow, 5 shops.
Yeah.
And what is no? Because it's really challenging what you tell me, no? The way to produce very fresh products and have everything like fresh, made, not last minute.
Yes.
What is
Yeah.
the main challenge of this?
I think one of the biggest challenges is labor, is being able to, first of all, find good, consistent bakers, and people who want to be pastry chefs or bakers, and being able to pay them. And at the same time, also maintaining the consistency, because we have so many hands rolling croissants, or so many hands, arranging the fruit on the tart, that you have to really make sure that you have good sous chefs around you, and that they're teaching the next in line, and that the whole team is very much staggered like that, so that they know what to do. And that's the biggest challenge, and that's the challenge that every day I have, like, every day, no matter what. I'm still on the production every day, and I love it, because for me, if I don't work with my hands, that's it. I go home, like, it's not worth it. So for me, this is my passion. So I like to show people how to do things, how to cut the herbs, how to cut the fruits, the vegetables, and how to interact with the food. I think that that's something that we're missing in America, especially, is the gesture and the interaction with the human, with the person, and the food that we're eating. And I find that people are not sensitive enough. Some people they just don't grow up with good food, or whatever. But it's very hard to teach that, and it takes time. And that's probably the biggest challenge, is teaching people how to interact with food, and be sensitive to it.
And about the consistency of all your products, no, because you have like 5 shops.
Yeah.
No, so many people working, around 200 people, you tell me. No, about the consistency about your products, how you do it, because I see a lot of different products reference, no, and it's like, for me, it's really impressive, this, no?
Yeah, I think it's first of all, simplifying is always being able to simplify the process. So if something takes or is too complicated to make, we have to go back to the formulation, first of all, from the beginning, and understand why we're doing what we're doing. So for example, I remember the first time when I did the big concept, and suddenly you're like, wow, I don't need to pasteurize this. It's already pasteurized. Why am I doing this, for example?
Yeah.
Why am I bringing something to 80? That saves almost 30 to 45 minutes sometimes in a big batch, and if you have a person standing above a pot and waiting for something to heat up to 80 as opposed to 40, it's night and day. So first of all, it's simplifying the process. And that's just a small example, but everything that we do is trying to simplify the process. So, the techniques can be complicated if you look at it at a very high level. You can look at something and say this is very complicated, but for people who don't really understand what went into the product, it's actually very simple. I know that I bring this to 40 degrees. I know I make the emulsion. That's it. I'm done. So I find actually that the more knowledge we have on a molecular level helps simplifying the process. Understanding that there are new ingredients out there that traditional bakeries don't use, we use, and I'm not even talking about fibers, and I'm talking about the emulsifiers here, and I'm talking, things that are, that really help us to get a really good consistency with limited amount of interaction.
And you were speaking about fibers. You use fibers in your products? Okay. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, so
What is your experience about fibers?
I remember, so when I first took the course, this was like almost 5 years. It's 5 years ago, I think, almost.
Oh, you were in the first
In the pandemic, during the
edition, or-
pandemic, yeah.
Yes.
So I remember I was inspired, and I came to the bakery and I said, okay, we have to get inulin, we have to get citrus fiber, no matter what. And I said to the purchasing manager at the time, like, get me citrus fiber and get me inulin. It doesn't exist. We don't know who sells that. There's inulin from agave here. Okay, let's get it. How much can they give us? Like a little pack, no, 25 kilos. That's the only minimum. So I remember just like bringing sacks of citrus fiber, and it's like we have to go through so much now. And that actually created for us like a need to start using a lot of it. So I said, okay, everything that we can use an emulsifier like citrus fiber, let's start using. And let's start using inulin all the time, wherever we can. So it started like that. And then now finally we have a consistent source, of inulin. And because you see the size of the bakery,
Yes.
for us to get small containers is it's not efficient. And I think also just in terms of the carbon footprint of it,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense. So we had to find sources that supply, factories sometimes.
Yes.
And so we were lucky to get it. And now I noticed that in New York, a lot of new companies are coming out with different types of inulin and different types of emulsifiers and modified starches and everything that 5 years ago we needed.
Yes.
Now it's more available. But I still think that there's a lot of room for more improvements because I don't think that the North American market is the same as the European market yet. It's just
Correct.
not the same.
And use fibers also in bakery.
Yeah.
Also use.
Yeah, I actually
Give
did.
us an example.
Yeah,
please.
so even in the croissant dough, they were playing a lot with citrus fiber just to see how it holds on to water,
Okay.
and also
In
we
the dough.
found- yeah,
Dough.
and we also found that in some of the doughs like the brioche, because
Yes.
it's so soft, to
Yeah.
make it a little bit more manageable. And if
Okay.
we're gonna have to put it in afterwards into rolling and stuff like that, citrus fiber really helped. For example, it helped make the dough a lot more manageable and more consistent. So that helped us. That's one thing. Not to mention the freeze and thaw. Even in the viennoiserie dough,
Okay.
we still roll into the freezer, and then when we defrost, I noticed that there's always issues. The gluten network is not as strong as it was. And I found that, for example, citrus fiber helped a lot with that. And of course, all of our, not just the viennoiserie, also in products like this, of course, we have to, we're trying to use plant-based ingredients. And we actually use a lot of lecithin as well, but citrus fiber and lecithin are the two my best friends right now. So yeah.
About inulin, are you using inulin?
Yes,
No products?
and everything, every compote, every mousse, every cremeux that we make is always a portion of inulin. There is almost never a time now, because I think that my palate changed over the years. I remember the first time I made a big concept mousse, I was like, no, there's a mistake. It's a mistake. There's no way that it can be the texture is so light. It almost feels like a sorbet almost. And over the years, my perception for sweetness is so different that I need to lower the sweetness in almost everything. And I also find that it just makes me feel much better to use inulin than to use sucrose. For almost everything that we do, it's always there's a portion there, and it's usually the higher portion of inulin than sucrose.
You communicate this to the customers. They know
Yeah.
the people with the customers.
We try.
Yeah.
I feel like people here, and especially in America, they hear a word that they don't know, inulin. So
Fiber.
fiber they
No.
hear, yes. I feel like sometimes here we're still trying to change the culture that only thinks of pastry as sweet, and that's what I want. I want sweet,
Yeah.
heavy, dense, fatty. Because it's like this is the birthplace of so many pastries that for me did a lot of damage to the pastry world because of it's so sweet and it's so heavy and so fatty. That these changes are happening slow and very small changes. But I find that in the restaurant scene, it's actually becoming better. And usually the restaurant is powering the pastry scene afterwards. So usually the pastry scene follows the restaurant, from what I noticed. And I'm assuming also in Europe it's the same, no?
A little bit the same. And if we speak about, because I'm really curious about the trends in each place of the world. We are traveling a lot for each in other countries, no? Like for example, China, Venezuela, in different countries, and I see that in each country you have like a little bit different trends, no? And for example, in China, the main focus is reduce fat and for sure sweetness because they are not used to it a lot of sweets, no, and the culture that they have about the sugar is that not because you taste their products and you feel that they forget the sugar in the recipe,
Exactly.
something like that, no? How about the trends here in New York and what your customers they ask
Yeah.
for?
I mean, from what I've noticed, especially in New York, which is different than other parts in America, people here has a very busy life, and they prefer things that are easy to go, easy to take away. But at the same time, now we're hearing a lot of people saying like less sweet, less sugar. They're not looking for something that there's no indulgence in. They still want something a little sweeter, probably than the parts of Europe. But what I've been doing is trying to make also the pastries smaller. So the viennoiserie itself is actually smaller in size just by weight, just by changing that and then applying techniques like using inulin and reducing the sugar. I already found that people really like that. And you go in around New York and you still see very big pastries. Croissants are 100 grams. It's like so much. But what we did is actually reduce the size and use the techniques that are, for me, a lot more interesting to reduce that sweetness. And people like that. I want people to eat something and then feel like I want more. And I can have another one and it's okay. And then I don't feel exactly. Sometimes I find like in New York, you walk around and you eat one pastry and that's it, you're done. And you can't eat anymore. But I think the idea to get more customers is to have them always wanting more and feeling good about it too, and not just saying like, it's sick. Yeah. So I don't think it's a trend. I think it's just this is the way that people now approach food in general. They want things that aren't making them feel like you know, tired and heavy.
Sure. So you need to eat something and you feel the energy and not tired and you are not going to feel sick.
Exactly.
This is important. Can you explain a little bit about the products? Because I see one thing that is very interesting is that you cross a lot the viennoiserie bakery side with pastry.
Yeah.
Because I see a really different texture, no? How can you explain a little bit?
I think for me also, like I said in the beginning, it's always a little different and strange, because I love viennoiserie, but at the same time, I love pastry. And I said to myself, it's really frustrating to me that the viennoiserie and the pastry, they never meet. It's one side is in the refrigerator, and one side is out at room temp, and that's it, and that's the way it is. And for me, I was like, I can't do that because I create what I want to eat. Yeah. So I was thinking a lot about how the different textures can be combined with viennoiserie and in many different approaches. So for example, this is just a chocolate cross laminated croissant, very very thin. Like we slice it so thin that you almost see through it. We wrap it. Sometimes like the ideas are, because we don't have I don't like to order specialty molds for everything, so I have to use some creativity sometimes, so
Sure.
I went to like my wife, she's an architect, so she has like ideas about like, oh, you can use metal, certain food safe metal, we can get that. So I wrapped it around the metal, I baked that, and then what we do in here is just an insert of a Maracaibo 68% mousse.
Okay.
So in there, and then we made our own kadaif dough, just broke it up, and with a little bit of pink peppercorn. And that's it. It's just kind of almost like an amuse-bouche. So they want to bite into bites, and the idea is to just get a lot of texture and of course flavor, but we reduce the sugar. So you can have one of these, and then you can still have something else.
Oh, there.
And this, for example, is we had a collaboration with Fromage Blanc.
Yeah.
And for me, already Fromage Blanc is so much better than using cream cheese, heavy, dairy. So it was lighter. And I said to myself, like, for me, Fromage Blanc has to be paired with herbs, just a lot of herbs, because I want a salad. Yeah. but I wanted to still make sense as a pastry, or maybe in between. It's neither pastry nor savory, so it's kind of in between. So we made basically just a fromage blanc cream with water-based also.
Okay.
And
And
no, it's,
inside you have
yeah, and then I have an herb gel that we
herb
made, just a
gel.
fluid gel. So we used
With
gel cream cold in this
Okay.
case, with vanilla. So for
Okay.
me, like vanilla, herbs, and fromage blanc was very interesting. I said it needs one more thing. It is pecan praline on the bottom.
Okay. Okay. And when you mention herbs, what kind of herbs?
So I wanted something very peppery, very
Okay.
strong. So arugula,
Okay.
and wasabi, micro wasabi.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's and then also the shell, if you see
Yeah.
here,
Mm.
is with the actual the persando. It has
Okay.
the actual herbs. It's
Also the herbs.
yeah.
Okay.
So it almost looks like a fossil
That's
on the other side. So again, for me, it's like I wanted things that look they don't just look different, but they're wild. Like I want it to be like like nature. You pick up when you were a kid. I don't know. For me, I used to really enjoy picking up the rocks and seeing what's underneath
Yeah.
and all that texture. I still remember it. So for me, like like picking
You connected
herbs.
this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then this is a corn galette.
Okay.
So we made again viennoiserie dough, but in this case we did corn and mint with a little bit of spice, a little jalapeno. And the idea was just to create something that looks sort of like the shape of the corn. So I just took just a bunch of rings and created something of that shape.
Yeah. And the dough is croissant dough.
No, this is hybrid actually between puff and croissant, because
Croissant.
for me I always find that the puff pastry has no flavor. It just has no taste.
Yes.
So I said, okay, let's do something that's a little more interesting. Increase the salt a little bit, change the butter in the lamination, change the fold so we get a little bit more flaky texture. But for me, I like it when it's a mess at the end, So at the end when we eat, it's like everything is everywhere. For me, that's the way you should eat. And then this is the Mirabelle plum with za'atar and sumac. Yeah. So the idea also here was we took on the bottom is also croissant dough. If you see.
Yes.
So it's all going that way. So the texture again is going to be very different. It's very, very gentle. And then we did Malcona praline.
Yes.
Mirabelle plum and za'atar compote. A Mirabelle fluid gel that has a little bit more acidity, because I found that the plum needs a little more acid. And then in here is just a Mirabelle plum mousse. And
Almost. Okay.
yeah, and everything here, of course, is egg free and in this case dairy free. And it's
Plant-based, this one?
yeah. And what was interesting actually here is, and then I tasted it and I was like, it needs something. So we ended up just doing the sumac and the za'atar, and it just completely transformed it. So again, like it's using viennoiserie, but it's such a small portion in terms of the proportions of the viennoiserie to everything else, that I find it's just a lot more satisfying to eat. And then now rhubarb is in season, so this is something that we do a lot. Is we take the croissant bars. This is croissant dough.
Before,
Yeah, and then I figured because of the layers, they go like this. Let's do something with the rhubarb.
Yes, yes. It's really like,
Yeah, and the compote is very light in there as well, so it does have a very low sweetness compared to New York standards.
yes.
Because I know that in Europe it's different also. But
See, here was very curious because I tasted desserts in some restaurants and they were near too sweet.
okay,
That means that
it's changing.
I can see that that the people is conscious about that and they are like reducing sugar.
I think so. It's interesting, especially at a restaurant after a meal.
Yes.
It's like, for me, I'll be honest, the best dessert is a watermelon, fresh watermelon. That's all I need. But I think my approach to making pastry is always, what's the lightest that we can go to reach the watermelon? You know what I mean? That's like to reach the fresh fruit. I pick it from the tree, I eat it. That's my dessert. Perfect. But of course, we still have to be creative, and you have to. Inside, I have these ideas that I have to get out, because if I don't, I go crazy. So that's the idea. And then the brioche here is filled with 72% Ariba cream, water based.
Okay.
It's completely plant based. And I find that the sweetness is actually I mean, it's a lot lower than a regular filled brioche. Um, yeah, and then this last one is something that I'm very, very happy with. It's citrus, just more of citrus. 'Cause we're just finishing the citrus season right now,
Okay.
almost to the end. But this has a Marcona sponge,
Mm-hmm.
Marcona praline, and then yuzu clementine compote,
Okay.
fresh citrus. Again, for me, the element of fresh, always, as much as I can.
And how you produce the shape? Because
Yeah. So I had basically it's a shape that I made like out of cardboard
yeah.
like this. So it has a little bit of a taper at the end, and then what we do is we cross laminate it with the
Wow.
dough. So the idea is also to give more movement to the pastry. So even this and here you see just movement, continuous movement. So that's also very important for me. It's just the more movement. I don't like it when pastry is
When it's
yes, yes.
just
For me personally, I just like when everything is flows.
yeah.
It has a fluidity.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I want to ask about your experience in our big content network. You were one of the first alumni. You've been in the first edition.
The first English, I think.
Yes, edition. This was a really challenging moment for us that we created this course. How was your experience?
I mean, I don't think there's enough words for me to express how much freedom I got from this course. And I think that the main thing for me was that I achieved from the B concept method and from the course was freedom. Finally, like I could say, I understand why things are happening. And now all the things that I had in my head, all the textures, all the colors, all the flavors, now I have the tools to start to actually create that. Because up until then, it was just, I'm sure almost every pastry chef has that stage of like, I do a recipe that existed before, and if it doesn't work, I'll try something else. But now suddenly I can make my own. And it's almost like a blank canvas, and you can start to do whatever you want to do in your head. And I think that the B concept method, what's so interesting about it is that if every pastry chef in the world took it, and in my opinion, it should be, we're going to get more creative and we're going to get more different. Actually, the pastries are actually going to be different from every single person because suddenly everything that's in my head, I can create. So instead of copying or instead of doing something just from social media or whatever, we can suddenly actually create the recipes that you really want to make as an individual. And I think that changes the game completely because I think that it's only going to create more creativity around the world and in food. So it only adds more to the art.
Thank you. Again, for me, at the beginning, when we started to no, was like a journey. At the beginning was my own journey, no, because I was feeling like in a jail, no, like you cannot just move outside of this. And I think that in pastry we need tips, no, because at the end we have such amazing job that is really creative.
Yeah.
But when you have to follow the rules, no, that we have from the past with the same recipe, same process, the same final product, no, it's boring this, no? And when you start to understand, like you mentioned, everything that we are doing, no? Because I'm a kind of person that I can know, I cannot do something that I don't understand, no? I need to understand until the end, no? Of the ingredient about everything that they are doing. And I think that this give us the opportunity to work in many directions,
Yeah.
no? An open mind and not just have freedom, also adapt the product to the new trends, new customers, everything that is coming because the market is changing, no, in a very fast way. No?
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, the market is changing even like every single year. It's completely different now and how it's changing. But
Because here I can see in New York that here there is a lot of energy and it means that there is a lot of change, no, all the time.
yeah, I think so. Not just in New York, in many cities in America, there is that change. But yes, for sure, like that's one of the main things that's driving also the creativity now is being able to adapt always, and that's the only way for us to survive. I think because what I find is people still want handmade creative work, and this is still an art. I still consider it an art.
Totally.
But I think that if you look at the greatest artists, painters, they knew their science. they understood. You can't say that Picasso understood art history and understood all the basics and the fundamentals and understood his paints, and only then you can create art. Without that, you're just doing nothing. It's just you have no control over it, so it's not art. But once you understand the method and the science behind it, that's when you start to create art. And I think that that's the most interesting point, is like it being always on that level, is and always being able to, because there's so many new advancements and new technologies and things that help us as pastry chefs that can create even better art.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
What will be the next biggest step for your business in the oncoming month time?
So for the business as breads,
Yes.
I think now we're just heading into because we're still growing and we still have more locations that we want to open. I think for me personally, the biggest challenge with this growth is to be able to continue to simplify the ideas and to be able to communicate these ideas to my team. And I think that that's always the most difficult, because sometimes I have ideas and I have them in my head and I know exactly what it's going to be, but it's very difficult to then say to someone, but look, we're going to put the herbs on it. And it's very difficult. So I think that's the challenge personally. And as a company, it's the continue to grow and to always become more efficient in how we grow, because I think I see a lot of businesses in New York, in America, in the world grow, and then immediately collapse because the fundamentals are just not there. So I think that's, how do we simplify it? That's the main goal right now. And then also for me is to continue to somehow create these ideas, and hopefully customers are also gonna enjoy them more. So the smaller bites, maybe there's a concept there of like smaller to go bites, a box of a few things. I think that that's something that's really important. Yeah.
Okay, it's perfect. Amazing. Thank you very much for this. And with you, I have a present with you.
Oh, yes.
For you. I'm not sure if you have, but I brought from Barcelona.
Okay.
I'm not sure if
Yeah.
you have our
I don't have the English version.
the
I
English
only have the
version.
Spanish version.
But
So
we brought for you the English version
Oh,
that finally we have. Okay,
Perfect.
thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.